Hello friends, welcome back to Moon Magic Spirit, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we're going to be doing a flip through of the Disney Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck. So here on my channel, I do like to review tarot decks as I come across them. I think it's fun. I enjoy watching flip throughs of other decks, so what I'm going to do is kind of show you what's inside. We'll flip through all the cards, and then at the end I'll let you know my final thoughts, and if it's a deck I worked with, I will give you an update on how I feel. I personally have not worked with this deck yet. I feel like it's going to be more of a collector item for me. I have not yet felt drawn to work with this, but I am a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan. In case you can't tell, up here in the background we have Lock, Shock, and Barrel in the bathtub. We have Frog's Breath. We have Wormswort. And we also have Deadly Nightshade. And that's just in this room, so you can only imagine the rest of my house. So let's get into looking through this deck. If you are new here, I hope you hit the subscribe button. And if you love Nightmare Before Christmas, give this video a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments who is your favorite character in the movie. I would love to chat about this. If you are also looking to see where else you can connect with me on social media, the Koji link will show you all that. It's basically like Linktree. And if you are interested in tarot readings, I do a lot of collective pick-a-card readings here on my channel, so that's something exciting to subscribe for. Or if you're more of a personal one-on-one, you can book a tarot reading with me at my website, moonmagicspirit.com, also linked down below. So we do have this really nice box. It's a pretty big size. And when you open it up, this is what the inside of the box looks like. Love the purple. Here we have the guidebook, and there is a little tab to help pull everything out. It does say that this deck was written by Minerva Siegel and illustrated by Abigail Larson. So this is a pretty thick guidebook. And it's nice because the cards are all in color here. So it looks like for the major arcana, you get like a full-blown illustration. Entire page for the card, which is super cool. It doesn't look like it goes super into depth with the meanings of this. I would say that most guidebooks don't go super in depth into it. What I do like is that there are upright and reverse meanings in this book. I always appreciate when people include reversals. So here we have the holder for the cards. And it doesn't all necessarily fit. I wish it was just like a little bit deeper because it can move around a little bit. That's just nothing. That's something totally minor. But like I said, we do have this ribbon to prop the cards up out of here. Very nice. And then it matches the back. I really like this. I feel like it goes with the vibe I have going on. These are very large cards, as you can see. So shuffling, I can barely hold it in my hands. The cards are a little thicker of a stock. I don't know how well they would shuffle. I feel like it would take a while to break these in. They feel super stiff, but that just means that the deck will last a long time. So here is what they look like. Here is the size of them. I mean, it seems like it would shuffle decently. But let me go ahead and flip you around so we can go through every card in the deck.
I can tell that this was really well made. The box, the packaging, it's very sturdy. So this deck, I believe, costs around $25, which isn't a bad price. I'm just a stickler on the quality of the cards, and that's my biggest complaint with this deck. And I know it seems like I'm nitpicking a lot or that I'm being really harsh, but when it comes to reviewing things, I want to be really honest. And if somebody is looking to buying something and spending their hard-earned money on it, I want to point out the good, of course, but I also want to point out the things that I personally don't like or the things that are bothersome to me, so somebody isn't disappointed in the quality of something. Like, talking about the quality of a product is something that is really important and that I hold in pretty high regard to myself. But I will say that I do love how vivid the artistry on these cards are. It's truly beautiful. I love the artwork, but you can see that I'm kind of struggling with them sticking together. So I just wish the cardstock was better quality and they didn't use a cheap cardstock. That's my complaint. The texture of it's just very sticky. The edges are rough. So that's kind of what I mean when I dive into this further. But the artistry on here is absolutely amazing. I love the artwork, as I think any Nightmare Before Christmas fan would. The colors are bright and dark at the same time, and it's easy to see what's going on in each card. I feel like the true essence of the movie was really captured in the artwork and design of these cards. As far as beginner friendliness goes, it's 50-50 for me because the Major Arcana, beautiful. If you know NBC and you're familiar with the Major Arcana, like it's easy to learn as you go, but the Minor Arcana isn't beginner friendly in my personal opinion.
My biggest issue with these cards is the stock that they're printed on. They stick together and they're just like very stiff. So I just really don't know how they would be shuffling. The cardstock just honestly feels so cheap. I really love the story of the Major Arcana though. I think that the imagery is really, really well done. But yeah, as we start to move into the different suits, I feel like the creativity level dropped a little bit. I feel like you do have to be pretty familiar with the original meanings of the cards or have like an idea of what the cards mean, because some of the images depicted here don't exactly tell the story. Like this one gives a good idea of what the story of the card is. However, this one really doesn't.
I love visual storytelling. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here, is that the visual storytelling isn't here for the Minor Arcana, and I'm also a very visual learner. So if you're a visual learner, I could see where you could struggle with this deck if you're not familiar. When it comes to the court cards, as the video goes on, you'll see like how my opinions change. But I like that it shows like a more childlike figure for the page. The Knight, I think of candles is a really good representation because it's like being hot-tempered, and a werewolf is a little bit, unpredictable, as they may say. And I also think that the nod to the original artwork with the Queen of Wands having the black cat, I love that. And I also think that the burning pumpkin stake trick for the King of Wands is a really good choice, because I think that relates to the King of Wands in general, just like really distant, selfish, like about themselves, standoffish. They think that they're doing like good for everyone, but like really it's self-serving. That's my opinion on the King of Wands. I'm more so for the Queen of Wands energy, if you can't tell.
I will say that the presence is fun to represent the Pentacles, because Pentacles does represent earthly objects and physical possessions. But even if you look at this card, for example, the Five of Pentacles, I don't know what meaning, like the meaning tied to the original meaning here. It's just, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, so you'll have to let me know in the comments down below how you feel about it. It may sound like I'm giving a little bit of a harsher critique here, but it's just my feelings. I feel like this is not a beginner friendly deck, so to say, when it comes to
the Minor Arcana. I was struggling with my words because I feel bad having more harsh critiques on things. But even for the Pentacle suit, like the Queen of Pentacles Mrs. Claus, like that is perfect representation. However, having Jack as the King of Pentacles is so inaccurate to me, in my opinion, because the regular Santa Claus truly embodies the King of Pentacles energy. That's just where my harsher critiques are coming from with this deck, and that's sticking to like the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck and storytelling. I don't think everything needs to be an exact dupe of Rider-Waite-Smith, but I feel like it should fit the vibe. And I feel like if somebody is a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas and they don't know much about tarot, I feel like this should be a beginner-friendly deck. And that is my problem with it. So I know that it's something that I'm bothered by, and I just want to point it out in case you were somebody that was interested and you don't know much about tarot. It's just my interpretation of it. So let me know how you feel in the comments. I feel like to most people it's probably not that big of a deal, but since I am reviewing this product, I feel like I have to speak on it honestly, and speak on it from the different perspective of customers that may be buying this deck. If you know tarot well, this isn't going to be a big deal to you. But if you're somebody that's newer, that's where I'm coming from. So I really enjoyed looking through I thought the potions was really cool. The needles, again, it just bothers me. Like this makes sense, but most of them don't. Some of the cards do make sense though in the storytelling. Like with this one, it does a good job of the Five of Swords, you know, being at an impasse and like kind of like having like this fight and like this mental battle, because that's what swords represents. So you can tell by looking at this card, it's a moment in the movie where Jack has to use his mental energy and mental strategy on how to fight and defeat and trick Oogie Boogie. But for some of them, it's just like, I don't know what you're supposed to get out of some of the meanings of it. And I get that there's only so much that you can do. Like I said, I'm being a really harsh critic here with this deck. I totally understand and recognize that. So far, my biggest complaint is just the cardstock, and is probably why I will use this as a collector's deck and not so much, see, these are stuck together, and not so much for actual use, just because of the cards and the cardstock that was used. And the cardstock is why this is such a long, drawn out flip through video, because it was hard to flip through the cards, and why I'm providing so much commentary, because it's just like, it just took me so long to flip through the cards because they kept sticking. Although I will say I looked through the guidebook and it looks like they stick to a lot of the original meanings, which is good. So that helps the beginner friendliness of it. It's just if you're a visual person, some of the cards could be a little confusing.
So let me give you my thoughts on the deck. I tend to be very critical when it comes to this. At the end of the day, it's all for fun and it doesn't matter that much. I did think that the mayor was an interesting choice for the Hierophant. They picked him for the Hierophant because he's like the leader of the town, being the mayor. I also thought the Empress was an interesting choice because she's leading her children around on leashes. But I guess that's like the Tim Burton twist to what the Empress represents, right? So I get it. It makes sense. Visually, my favorite card in the deck is the Wheel of Fortune. I just love the coloring of it. I think that it's a perfect representation of the Wheel of Fortune. It couldn't get any better than that. I'm also really happy that they kind of double use Sally here, because with the High Priestess, she does have that intuition about the entire movie, throughout the entire movie with Jack and what a disaster it's going to be, and that is very High Priestess vibes. But she's also like an alchemist, right? So temperance and like trying to have that balance is very much Sally as well. So I'm glad that she was represented twice in here. And of course, Oogie being the devil, I mean, what a more perfect fit. Now, when we get into the minor arcana, that's kind of where I'm like, I feel like it could have been done a little bit more creatively. We do have like the classic floating hand for the ace, but for, you know, the 2 and 3 of candles, if you don't really know like the meaning of the wands, you might not necessarily get it from the graphic. But of course, when we get to the 5 of wands, it's a fight scene. So of course this makes sense. So it's like some of it makes sense, some of it, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know, what are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you think that the minor arcana could have been better depicted and explained a little bit? Because this is where I think the deck gets a little bit boring. So I do again think that these placements make sense, especially you have to have the black cat for the Queen of Wands because that is a little bit of an homage to the original writer Wade Smith and Pamela Coleman's illustration. There is a black cat with the queen, so I love that that's, you know, is a little nod to the OG. So anyways, let me know, what were your thoughts about this deck? What do you like? What don't you like about it? I would love to hear from you. As always, thank you for lending your time and energy to this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.